The meal you just ordered on Uber Eats can cost you up to 52% more than the exact same meal bought over the counter. Not the delivery fee, not the tip, the food itself, marked up before a driver has moved. And it isn't only takeaway. Cross over to the grocery side of the same app, and a 4 pack of ice cream cones, $3.70 at the counter, is $5.25 in the app. Same cones, same shop. That's not the delivery fee either. That is just the price of the thing. 52% on the meal, 42% on the tub. And once you know that, you start wondering what else quietly went up on the way to your door. I spent this week doing something dead simple. I put the same items in a supermarket trolley and in the Uber Eats app, side by side, and I wrote down both prices. Then I did the same thing with takeaway. And I stopped guessing at the fees and actually pulled apart where every single dollar goes. By the end of this, you'll know the 7 things you should almost never order through the app if you care about your money. You'll know exactly which layer of the bill is the restaurant, which layer is Uber, and which layer is the one nobody warns you about, the little fee that turns a $4 coffee into a rip-off. Remember that one. It's number 2, and it's the most avoidable of the lot. And right at the end, I'll show you the thing that happened in this country this year that makes every one of these markups worse. And almost nobody noticed it happen. Here's the part they'd rather you didn't connect, though. These 7 are not 7 separate rip-offs. They're one machine with 7 outlets. Let's get into it. Before the list, one idea and hold on to it because it explains all 7. When you order on Uber Eats, the price you pay is not one decision. It's a stack. 6 layers sitting on top of each other. And only one of those 6 layers is a charge Uber puts on your screen with its name next to it. The other 5 are quieter. Some of them belong to the restaurant. One of them is a $2 surcharge you probably never read. And underneath all of it is a commission the merchant pays that you never see at all, but you pay for it anyway. We'll crack that stack open in the middle of this video, layer by layer, and I'll put a real number on every single one. For now, just hold the shape of it. It's a stack, not a sticker. Every item on this list is the same stack wearing a different label. Number 7, the single coffee. You know this order. It's Sunday, you can't be bothered, and you open the app for one flat white. 1. And it arrives and it's fine, and you don't do the maths because it's just a coffee. Do the maths. A cafe flat white is what, $5, maybe 6, over the counter. On the app, 3 things happen to that coffee before it reaches you, and none of them are the drive. First, the menu price is already lifted because the venue raised its app prices to cover what the platform takes off the top. Then the delivery fee lands. Then the service fee, which Uber says is typically around 10% of your basket, lands on top of that, and here's the sting. That percentage is worked out on the price before any discount, not after. And because your basket is one small coffee, you've just tripped the wire on the fee we come back to at number 2. Add it up, and a single coffee on delivery can land at double what you'd pay standing in the shop. Double for a coffee. That went cold in the car on the way over. Here's the rule for this whole list, and coffee is the cleanest example of it. The cheaper the thing, the worse the percentage. Fees don't shrink because your order is small. They just take a bigger bite out of it. The next one is the thing you add because you're already ordering anyway. Number 6, a side of chips on its own. Nobody plans this one. You finish the mains, someone still wants chips, so you order chips. Base price, maybe $4 or $5. And every single fee on the stack applies to that $4 order exactly the same as it would to a $40 one. The delivery fee doesn't get smaller because you ordered less. The service fee doesn't get smaller. They just eat a bigger share of a tiny bill. That's the trap with sides and small add-ons ordered on their own. A delivery fee that felt fair on a family dinner is grotesque on a single carton of chips. The percentage doesn't care what you ordered, it cares what you paid. And you paid almost nothing, so the fees become almost everything. This is arithmetic, not opinion. And it's the exact reason the app quietly nudges you to add more to your order. That little prompt isn't a favor. It's the app diluting its own fees using your appetite. Quick one, and then straight back in. If you've made it this far, you already know this channel isn't here to tell you what to eat. It's here to tell you what your receipt is actually doing. If that's the channel you want in your feed, subscribe and hit the bell because we pull one of these apart every single week and the receipt never gets shorter. Right. Number 5. Bottled soft drink and packaged drinks. This is where the grocery side of Uber Eats really starts to bite, and it bites harder than the restaurants do, because here you've got a fixed reference price burned into your head. You know what a 2 litre soft drink costs at the supermarket. You've bought it 100 times. So when it turns up on the app, noticeably dearer, you feel it in a way you never feel it with a restaurant meal. Choice ran exactly this comparison in October. Same grocery items, supermarket versus app, matched to the dollar. And it's worth hearing the full basket because this is where it stops being abstract. A Woolworths shop that cost $43.08 in the store came to $59.67 on Uber Eats. That's 39% more. A Coles shop that was $44.95 in the store came to $60.53 on the app. 33% more. And the heavy, cheap, high volume items, drinks, exactly this category, sit at the ugly end of that spread. A supermarket sells you a soft drink on a wafer thin margin as a way to get you through the front door. The app has no front door to get you through. So the built in bargain of the supermarket drink just evaporates. Packaged drinks are the single worst value per dollar you can put in a delivery basket. You are paying courier wages to move sugar and water that you could have grabbed for a fraction on your next shop. Number 4, branded grocery staples. Here's the betrayal, and it's specific. Most people assume grocery delivery is basically the supermarket with a fee bolted on. Same price for the goods plus postage. It is not. The price of the product itself moves the moment it's inside the app. Choice, priced a 400-gram tub of a well-known butter brand at $10.20 on Uber Eats. $9 flat at Woolworths. That's before the delivery fee, before the service fee. That's the tub, sitting on the same shelf as always, wearing a different price tag purely because you're looking at it through an app. Multiply that 13% across a full shop of branded staples. The milk, the bread, the butter, the coffee, the things you buy every week without thinking. And the quick, convenient order becomes a genuinely expensive habit. The weekly shop is the one purchase in your entire life where you actually know the price is cold. The app is banking on you not checking a single one of them the moment they're inside its walls. Which one of these have you done this week? Drop it in the comments. Coffee, chips, drinks, the shop. I want to see which one this channel just ruined for you. I'll be in there reading them. Now stop because this is the part I promised. Let's crack the stack open because from here down it's the same 6 layers under every single item, and I'm putting a real number on each one. Layer 1, the menu markup. The restaurant or the retailer lifts the price of the item itself on the app. This is the biggest layer, and here is the crucial bit. This one is the merchant's decision, not a charge that Uber lists on your bill. Uber told Choice, in its own words, that each merchant independently controls the pricing of its own menu. Layer 2, the commission. So why does the merchant lift the price? Because of this. Uber publishes its Australian rates, so we don't have to guess. On an order that Uber delivers, the marketplace commission is 30% of the order, plus GST. If the restaurant does its own delivery, it's 16%. For pickup, where you go and collect it, it drops to 6%. There's also a $500 sign-up fee to get a new store on the platform. Once you add GST, operators say the real bite on a delivered order sits closer to a third of the whole ticket. A third. Think about what that does to a small takeaway shop running on tight margins. It has 2 choices: swallow a third of its revenue or lift its app prices to cover it. Almost all of them lift the prices. Finder said the mechanism out loud. The apps take a cut of about 30%, and most businesses raise their app prices to offset it. So follow the dots. Layer 1, the markup you can see, exists because of Layer 2. The commission, you can't. You are quietly paying the merchant's Uber bill. It has just been folded into the price of your burger so it doesn't look like a fee. Layer 3, the delivery fee, the one that actually has Uber's name on it. Distance and demand based, so it moves around. In Choice's grocery test, that delivery cost alone ran anywhere from $5 to $11.32 before a single other layer of the stack was added on. Layer 4, the service fee. Around 10% of your basket, calculated before discounts, sitting on top of everything else. Layer 5, the small order fee. We're about to make this its own item, so hold it right there. And layer 6, surge and tips. In select Australian cities, Uber runs what it calls a busy area fee for eaters at peak times. That's surge pricing for your dinner, capped at $10 per delivery. Plus, whatever you tip on top, 6 layers, 1 sticker, that is the entire trick. The 52% on that meal, the 42 on the ice cream, the double price coffee, the 39% on the Woolworths shop. None of it is one greedy number. It's 6 quiet ones stacked, and only 2 of them ever say the word Uber out loud. Say it with me. It's a stack, not a sticker. If you're still with me and you just watched all 6 layers click into place, drop a 4 in the comments. 4 for the $4 coffee that started all this. I want to know how many of you made it to the part they never put in the ad. Now, the top 3. This is where it gets expensive. Number 3. The fast food combo. This is the one that hurts because it's the order most of us default to. Friday night, can't be bothered cooking, big name chain, the combo you've had 100 times, and it is quietly one of the worst value orders on the entire app. Finder collected prices across 20 restaurants and 60 dishes and found Uber Eats markups running anywhere from 3% all the way up to 52%, depending on the venue. 52%. That's the number I opened this video with, and this is where it lives, right here in the combo you order without thinking. And here's why the combo is the perfect hiding place. You feel this markup least of all because you've got no counter price in your head to argue with. You almost never buy that exact combo in-store and keep the docket. No reference price, no complaint. It's the safest possible place for a chain to quietly lift a menu. And it's worth being precise about who is doing what here because I'm not going to hand you a villain that isn't real. This isn't the chain being cartoonishly greedy. It's the 30% commission from layer 2 passed straight through to your combo in layer 1. The chain is the messenger. The message was written by the maths. One honest caveat because we owe you that. Some venues genuinely hold their app prices the same as in-store. Finder found some as low as 3%. It's a spread, not a blanket conspiracy, which is exactly why the move is to check your own regular order once. In-store versus app, one time, once. And you'll know for the rest of the year which side of that spread your local sites on. I already know this comment section. Half of you are furious right now, adding up every Friday night you've ever done this. The other half are typing it's called convenience, mate. That's the whole point. You're both right, and I want to see the fight. Tell me which side you're on. Number two, anything on its own under $10. This is layer 5, and it has earned its own spot because it's the most avoidable ripoff on the whole app, and almost nobody can tell you the exact number. Order a subtotal under $10 on Uber Eats in Australia, and you are charged a $2 small order fee. $2 doesn't sound like much. Run the percentage. On an $8 order, $2 is a 25% surcharge for the crime of not spending enough. That single lonely dessert. That one coffee from number 7. That carton of chips from number 6. Every cheap single item order on this list gets this fee stapled straight to it. And it is the reason the small orders are always the worst percentage of the lot. Here's the tell, and it gives the whole thing away. The fee vanishes the instant your subtotal clears $10, which means the app isn't charging you for a cost it's carrying. It's charging you for a behavior, ordering small and then offering to make the charge disappear if you'll just spend a bit more. That's not a delivery fee. That's a nudge with a price tag. The percussion line for this whole video lives right here. On the app, the less you buy, the more each dollar costs you. Number 1, ice cream and frozen dessert. Back to where we started. The 4-pack of cones, $3.70 in the shop, $5.25 on the app. 42%, and it was the single worst item in the entire choice comparison. Why ice cream, of all things? Because it's the perfect storm of everything on this list all at once. It's cheap, so the fees hammer the percentage. It's a supermarket staple, so you know the real price, and the app markup has nowhere to hide. And it melts, so there's an urgency the app quietly prices in. You're not going to cancel and drive to the shop, and it knows that. Everything that makes the other 6 bad, ice cream has stacked into one small tub. 42% on the product alone. Before delivery, before the service fee, before you've tipped a single cent. A real tub in a real app in October, measured to the dollar by choice. The 52% up the top was takeaway. This is the supermarket doing it to a $3 tub of cones. Different shop, same machine. Right, I've spent about 70% of this video making you angry. Here's the other 30, because the point was never to scare you off your phone. You don't have to quit the app. You have to beat the stack. And the stack has obvious weak points once you can see it. Weak point 1, pickup kills 3 layers at once. Order for collection instead of delivery. And the delivery fee, the service fee, and the small order fee all fall away together. 3 of the 6 layers gone for the cost of a short walk. And remember, layer 2, the commission on a pickup order is 6% instead of 30, so plenty of venues quietly price pickup lower as well. If you're within a few minutes of the shop, this is the single biggest saving on this entire list, and it costs you nothing but the walk. Weak point 2, consolidate and never trip the $2 fee. Never send an order under $10. If you want one coffee badly enough to pay a 25% surcharge for it, you don't want a coffee, you want a lesson. Wait, batch it with something else or walk. Weak point 3, check your regular order once. In-store versus app, one time. Finder found some venues at 3% and some at 52%. You can't fix the whole app, but you can find out in 5 minutes whether your own local is honest, and that's a decision you make once and bank for the rest of the year. And there's relief coming from an unlikely direction too. When Choice put all this to Uber, Uber said it was planning to roll out unit pricing on its grocery listings, the little per 100 grams price that supermarkets are made to show you. If that actually lands, the naked markup on that tub of butter gets a lot harder to hide. That's a promise, not a fact yet. So hold it lightly, and I'll tell you if it shows up. One genuine caveat, and then the close. Sometimes convenience is worth it. A wet Tuesday, no car, a sick kid at home. The fee is the price of not leaving the house, and that can be a perfectly fair deal. This channel isn't anti-convenience. It's anti-not knowing. Pay the fee when you choose to pay it. Just never pay it because you didn't look. One last thing, and it's the reason all of this matters more this year than it did last year. The only thing that ever keeps a price honest is someone across the road charging less. And in Australian food delivery, the road just emptied out. Menulog stopped taking orders in November 2025 and walked away from the market entirely, taking about 120 jobs with it. Deliveroo shut its Australian operation back in 2022, saying plainly it couldn't reach a sustainable and profitable scale here. That leaves Uber Eats as the dominant app standing, with something like 4.5 million active users and the biggest slice of the market by a distance, while its nearest rival, DoorDash, holds under 5%. Depending on which figures you read, Uber's share runs from around half of the market to well beyond it. The exact number moves with the source, but the direction doesn't, and it hasn't stopped competing hard for what's left. When the hardware chain Mitre 10 trialled Uber Eats in a handful of its stores, Uber pointed to an exclusive deal it holds with a rival that locks up more than 30,000 products. So Mitre 10 took its trial to the other app instead. The competition regulator has confirmed it's assessing Uber's exclusive deals with big partners. But I want to be careful right here because this is the exact spot where channels like this one get reckless. That assessment is ongoing, and the regulator has said in plain words that it is yet to form a view. So that is a live question, not a finding, and I won't pretend to know the ending. What I'll say is only the obvious part, the part that needs no regulator. When the shop across the road shuts its doors, the one left standing has one less reason in the world to keep its prices keen. For the record, though, when Uber has misled Australians on price before, a court has said so out loud. Back in 2022, the federal court ordered Uber to pay $21 million over misleading conduct and false price representations. That case was about the rideshare app, not Uber Eats. I'm not going to blur that line for a cheap point, but it does tell you exactly what kind of pricing behaviour gets a company like this hauled in front of a judge in this country. Here's the whole video in one line. You were never really paying for delivery. You were paying for a stack, 6 layers deep, that got quietly taller the moment the only real competition walked out of the room. The receipt didn't lie to you. It just never explained itself. Now it can. If this changed how one single order looks to you, then it did its job. Subscribe, because next week we're going somewhere the markup isn't a fee at all. It's on the shelf, in the supermarket, hiding inside the unit price you're not reading. And once you see it, the trolley never looks the same again. Watch the full breakdown, and I'll see you down in the comments. I'll be in there reading the fight.